Hey folks, Ned Levering here with Project Pottery TV, and today I'm going to be mixing up a glaze for you guys. So this glaze is called Bailey's Red 2, and it's from John Britt's new book on mid-range glazes, which I really recommend. This book is great. I think it's my favorite, most instructional book on glazes that I've found so far. Anyway, so we're going to be making Bailey's Red 2. It's a khaki. It has a ton of iron oxide in it and a little bit of lithium. And I'm going to be mixing up 20 pounds of it, which is a big batch. And I have all my weights figured out. So without further ado, we can jump on in. Alright. So to mix up a glaze, which is really easy, by the way. Really all there is to mixing up a glaze is just like, you know, putting together ingredients for a recipe for baking something in the kitchen. The only difference is that when you're mixing up glaze, you have to pay attention to your outcome. So like you want to make sure that you're mixing all of the raw materials together in a good way, and that at the very end of it, you're getting rid of all of the clumpiness and impurities and all that stuff, and so you have like a nice consistent mixture at the end of it. But today, how I do glazes, just to show you guys what you need, I mix them up in like a huge tub like this. So this is just a giant plastic tub, and I like to mix it up in there for two reasons. One is that it's really easy to blend it in there, because I'll use like this drill, and then I don't know what this thing is called. This is like a it's for the kitchen. It's like a soup pureer or something like that, but it's great for the pottery studio. But it's easy to do that in a big dish like this, and then at the very end you have to run the glaze through a sieve anyway, which is here. So we'll run the glaze through the sieve, and then it'll ultimately end up in this bucket, which is where it'll live. So you need your big Tupperware bucket, your big plastic bucket, you know, your final bucket for the glaze, a sieve. You need a scale. I use an electric scale, digital scale. You need a weighing bucket. You need mixing tools. So I use that thing that I showed you, like whipping stuff around here. So I use the pureer, and also this is a nice drill bit you can get, and that really helps with mixing. And it's just like a giant wooden spoon. And then of course all your raw materials, which we have today. So I actually have to put on a giant mask for this so that I don't inhale bad chemicals and stuff. So I don't know what I'd do. Maybe I'll do like subtitles for the video. I think that's what I will do, because you won't be able to hear me talk. I'll like keep talking, but it's just going to sound like gobbledygook. It's going to sound like Kenny from South Park. So I'll take my last sip of coffee too. Okay. Alright, cool. So, for Bailey's Red, the first ingredient is nephside. And we need a lot of it, because we're making 20 pounds. So we're going to make 7 pounds of nephside. So, here are my scales.
Cool. So that's all the mixing. And let me show you what it looks like. So here's our tub of ingredients. And so the first thing that I do is just dry mix it. So softly go around. Good. And now I'm going to start adding a little water. And this is a good time for the drill. Okay. Whew, man. How are we looking? Okay, so the last thing that I do is use the pureer. And when you're doing this, it's really important that you don't use too much water. So try and do it while it's still thick, because you can always add water. But it's hard to take it away, obviously. So now we're going to dump it and sieve it. And this process is slow.
man. Wow. Okay. That was a little bit messy, but the job is done. A sponge in there. Now let's see how our consistency is. Splashing around. It's pretty good. It might be a little bit on the thin side. You want it to kind of be like, kind of like cream, you know, like thick cream. And this is more like a half and half here, I would say. Whew. Well, we're done, and we have our glaze mixed, and I think it came out really nice. I really liked the consistency at the end of it, so I'm pleased with that. And anyway, thanks for joining me for this, and I really hope that this, if anything, proved how simple it really is to mix up a glaze on your own if you have the right tools, which is really just, you know, like the respirator mask, the drill bit that helps mixing, the pureer, the sieve, and that kind of stuff. And, you know, I think that some people get the idea of mixing your own glazes entangled with the idea of making your own glazes, you know, and making your own glazes is complex, and that's, you know, something that's more technical and requires more time, and, you know, I can see how people would sort of be intimidated by that process. You have to make sure that your glazes, you know, not just that the recipe works, but that your glazes work well together and they work with your clay, in the environment that you're firing, and all that stuff. You know, but if you have a good recipe that you use for your glaze, and you know that, then there's, you know, no sense in not mixing your own glazes to save money, and, you know, have that kind of control over it. So anyway, as always, thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time. Thanks.